Hello children, today I will do direct and indirect speech with you. First of all, I will tell you what direct speech and what indirect speech are. Now there are two ways of reporting the words of a speaker. The first is by direct speech. In direct speech, we may quote within quotation marks, that is, inverted commas, the speaker's own actual words. That is the exact words spoken by a speaker. Then the second is indirect speech, and in this we may report what the speaker said without quoting the exact words. Now the reporting portion is the principal clause, and the actual speech of the reported speech is the subordinate noun clause. Like for example, in the example you can see, he said to me, I am going. So here he said to me is the principal clause. The principal clause. I am going is the subordinate noun clause. So remember children, he said to me is the reporting portion, which is the principal clause, and I am going is the reported speech, which is the subordinate noun clause. Now in the example, there are certain things, certain points to be noted. The first is that in the principal clause, he said to me, the word said is called the reporting verb. Then the speech within the inverted commas is separated from the reporting portion by a comma. Then we also see that in the direct speech, the first word after the inverted commas begins with a capital letter. And then in the indirect statement, that has been placed before the speech. That is, the word that has been used to join the principal clause and the subordinate noun clause when you change from direct to indirect speech. Now, while changing a direct speech into indirect speech, we have to make certain changes. And those changes are mainly related to the personal pronouns and the tenses indicating time and distance. Today I will tell you the rules related to the change of pronouns. Now the pronoun of the first person. I will tell you how to change the pronoun of the first person. Now you all must be knowing the pronouns used for the first person, like I, me, my, mine, we, us, our, and ours. So when these first persons are used in the direct speech, then they are related to the subject of the reporting verb. And so when we change from direct to indirect speech, we change it according to the person of the subject. Like for example, you can see, he said to me, I am writing a letter. Now here in the reported speech you can see the first person has been used, I. So I is the first person and I is related to the subject in the reporting verb, and the subject in the reporting verb is he. So now when you change from direct to indirect speech, you will be using the pronoun related to he instead of I. So when you change it into indirect speech, how will you write? He said to me that he was writing a letter. So instead of I, you can see that we have used the word he, and both the reporting portion and the reporting speech has been joined by the word that. And after that, instead of I am, you have used he was. So you will use, instead of first first person, you will be using the pronoun related to the subject. Then the second rule is related to the pronoun of the second person. Now the pronouns of the second person are like you, your, and yours. So when these are there in the direct speech, then it is related to the object of the reporting verb. Now, and so we will be making the change also according to the person of the object. Now in the example you can see, he said to me, you are writing a letter. Now in the reporting speech you can see the second person has been used, you. You is the second person, and here you is related to the object in the reporting verb, and the object in the reporting verb, it comes after the verb, that is me. So now you will be making the change in the indirect speech according to the object. So when you change it, how will you write? He said to me that I was writing a letter. So here you see that instead of you, it has been changed into a suitable pronoun related to me, that is I. So he said to me that I was writing a letter. Then the third one is the pronoun of the third person. Now the pronouns of the third person are like he, him, his, she, her, hers, it, its, they, them, and their. Or any name that has been used or a noun that has been used in the direct speech, they remain the same. That is, it remains in the third person. So the pronouns of the third person will remain the same. No change will be done there. Like in the example you can see, he said to me, she is writing a letter. Now here in the reporting speech you can see, she is the third person. So when you change it into indirect speech, you will not make any changes related to she. It will remain the same. So your sentence in the indirect speech will be, he said to me that she was writing a letter. So here you see that she remains the same. No change has been done. So the pronoun of the third person remains the same. So remember children, the main rules related to pronouns are that the pronoun of the first person is related to the subject in the reporting verb, and so you will be making changes according to the subject in the indirect speech. Then the pronoun of the second person is related to the object in the reporting verb, and so you will be using the pronoun related to the object in the indirect speech instead of the second person. And then the rule related to pronouns of the third person is that the third person remains the same. No change will be done. Whether it is a third person or a name that is written or a noun that has been used, that will remain the same. No change will be done. So children, these are all the rules related to the pronouns when you change from direct to indirect speech. Note down all these rules related to the pronouns with the examples and revise.